Censorship refers to the suppression of speech or writing that is considered to be a bad influence on society. Some content, such as books and movies, might be censored because they are judged to cross the boundaries of what is considered decent in a society at a point in time. The same goes for video games today. Australia is known to be one of the harshest Western countries when it comes to video game censorship. Games with an MA15+ rating are the highest possible restriction that can be sold in the country. This censorship puts the country behind many others that do allow for the R18+ rating. Unfortunately, video games do not get the same treatment as films, where there is the R18+ restriction, meaning that only adults can watch them. This also means that there are many games that have not been able to be sold in the country. This censorship has also caused a lot of illegal downloading of the restricted games online. Dan Chiappini says that industry groups such as the Electronic Frontier Australia and the Interactive Entertainment Association of Australia believe the lack of an R18+ rating for games is doing no favours for Australian consumers and adults because of the division between the film and video game mediums. This causes further confusion when determining suitability of content, and they also argue that the growing gap between ratings for film and video games shows an ignorance of the changing nature of media consumption in Australia. The other effect of these restricted classification guidelines is that producers of mature-themed content must self-censor their work to fit the highest possible MA15+ rating or risk being refused classification. A major question that comes from this is why shouldn't adults be able to watch or play anything that they want to? Computer Daily News reported in August that the O'Farrell government had given its formal support for bringing in an R18+ rating for video games. They said that Federal Justice Minister Brendan O'Connor welcomed the decision by New South Wales, saying, "I am delighted that New South Wales has decided to support what is not just practical public policy, but a very popular policy." So it should be a matter of time before New South Wales will see the censorship stop and more games able to be sold in the country. But for now, it is still a waiting game for older gamers who would like to enjoy these games now.
Censorship can also be a mediating system of protecting our children. It comes to significance that children are protected against any material that could pose harm to their innocence, since they are not at the certain age to understand what the scenario is. Ms. Vanessa Pennell agrees that censorship should be in place.
I don't mind video games. I like that they're interactive. I like that the kids get involved. I think it helps their tactile development. It also helps responsiveness and interaction type skills. At the same time, I am reluctant for games that have violence in them, and I'm not a particular fan of that, although that is, especially for my son, the one thing that he wants to do and wants to play. They do just see language especially as a mild part of something that's a very violent game, and children are becoming more and more desensitised towards violence in games and thinking that they can transfer it over between what they play in a video game and how they interact with their friends. And even in my son's school, that's becoming an increasing problem, whereby children are roughhousing and playing WWE wrestling and games like that without really quite realising that they can do serious damage. So there's kids with teeth knocked out and getting concussions and stuff. So in that respect, I don't think younger ones understand how bad violence is and how to disassociate between violence they see in games and how they interact.
One person who couldn't agree more with the placement of censorship is Joseph Young, who is 21 years old with a younger brother.
I think video games should be censored because I have a 12-year-old brother who likes to play violent games such as Call of Duty and Grand Theft Auto. Being a 12-year-old, he's at the age where he's easily influenced by media as well as his peers, and I think that video games should be censored so he's not as easily influenced into violent behaviour.
While people advocate for the implementation of censorship, there are many that argue that censorship is unnecessary. Even former Governor-General Bill Hayden thinks censorship today in Australia is a mess of confusing and conflicting laws. As long as the video games are rigidly under control, then there should be no reason for censorship laws. Controlling content is a matter that should be left up to the discretion of those who created the game. It should not be left up to the state to interfere with the creativity of any game outside of a review suggesting prior knowledge of content. Kong Yung-win and Gabriel Strange share their views on video game censorship.
I think these games are censored because they have their whole interactive it's an interactive medium, but it also involves a lot of violent themes and sexual themes, which a lot of people think may influence people because it is an interactive medium. And I kind of think it is stupid because a lot of people think that because people play violent games that they will become violent themselves.
However, the parents themselves should really censor it, shouldn't they? They should choose what games are available for the kids to play.
If someone goes and plays a game about shooting and goes out and shoots people, they've got other problems other than just playing games. I don't think censorship is effective at all. We have an R18 classification for movies, and why shouldn't we have it for games? People may want to keep the R18 classification to try to control what people look at or what they play in a way to maybe decrease violence, but it wouldn't change a thing at all because the amount of violence we see on television, movies, internet.
Yeah, that's correct. In a sense, I guess it's alright to have different ratings such as MA15, R18 to filter out to the correct audience, correct?
Yeah.
So that's sort of a way for the parents to determine what their children should be playing. It's supposed to be a free country, and lately Australia has been re-releasing many other exploitation things. For example, a film, Cannibal Holocaust, which was banned for 30 years, just recently saw light in Australia, yet originally people believed scenes in that movie were real. So if that can come out, I can't understand why a video game can't come out.
Censorship minimizes the broader view of the world and its possibilities, but also restricts the imagination by limiting the abilities of the few creative people. So far, so good. As said earlier, the New South Wales government will seek to see R18+ rated video games before the end of 2011. Overall, considering the amount of backlash over the censorship, Australia should open its doors for R18+ games and let the people distinguish themselves what is deemed to be acceptable in society.